everyone, welcome back to WRT with N and J. This is Nikhil and I'm joined as usual with the one and the only.
Hey guys, Jolin here.
So Joel, are you excited about today's episode?
I am very much excited because it's gonna be a very special episode. One, because this is the first episode that we would be recording this year. That is
Oh, Happy New
2024.
Year by the way.
Yes, Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah, that's the first thing. And two, you know what? As we promised you all that we would not only be talking about the things that we are aware of, but rather this is going to be a platform even for us to learn new things. So we have this new series of episode that is being incorporated into our regular episodes. Yes, where we have the guests coming over. Yes, you heard it
Agreed.
right.
Agreed. We finally went and found an amazing guest for you guys to listen to. So I'm going to give a very small introduction for her.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Rini. I met her, I think, around 2016 or something back in Jaipur. We used to go to the same church. And my first introduction of her was very casual. It's like, hi. I'm like, okay, what? Who is this very pretty lady? And we just chit chatted for a bit. And after a while, and I realized she was so much older than me. I could not believe it. But she is an
Sad.
amazing person. Yeah, well, she's an amazing person, a very cool vibe. Then then she went to Canada for her studies and everything after she got married. And we usually now have we speak mostly on phone call, on text or something. I don't get to meet her very often, but I've given a very small introduction for from her for her blah blah. Anyway, I let her give her own introduction with her own voice. So Rinidhi, would you like to take the stage now?
Thank you so much, Nikhil, for introducing me so sweetly. Well, guys, my name is Rini Jacob, and I am from Jaipur. I am from the same church as Nikhil. Hi, Jolin. Yeah, so I studied in Sofia, and I did my bachelor's of nursing and my master's in pediatrics from Government College of Nursing, Bikaner. And then I got married, and pretty soon I moved to Canada on a PR along with my husband, and we lived there for some months, and then I moved to London.
So for whoever is wondering why is Rinidhi appearing as a guest in our podcast, Rinidhi was diagnosed with colon cancer, was it right? Correctly if I'm saying the
Yes, it is colorectal cancer,
Yes,
stage 4.
exactly that. In 2020, and she's been suffering from it. She's been fighting it. I don't even know how she does it, but an inspiration to everybody to just fight this thing and be as amazing as she was the very first day I met her. So we're going to be talking about her journey from the time she was diagnosed with this disease and how she's been fighting against it and what all she's been going through from that particular time onwards. So,
Right.
have I covered everything, Jordan, or is there something else that you
I
want
just
to
want to
add?
say, like, yeah, this episode is fully going to be about her heroic journey through,
Exactly.
yeah, through the diagnosis of cancer.
Um, Without wasting any more time, Jordan, would you like to throw the first question at her?
So, yes, let's get started. So, firstly, how did you discover your cancer, and how did you it impact your emotional state? And we just want to know what were your primary feelings and thoughts, that emerged when you received the news.
Right. So this is actually a very heavy question because those were the days when I was diagnosed, and it was, as you can all predict, like it is tough for a youngster or any person to get through this information. So I think it was 2019 when somewhere around November when I started having these very bad tummy pain, and I was in Canada, and I used to show it to my general practitioner, and he would say like it's just some tummy pain, and the healthcare services in Canada is a little slow, so we used to have like this very long waiting period of around 3 to 4 or maybe sometimes 5 hours. the doctors that time said like it's just tummy pain. It could be some ulcer, or it could just go off in some time. And I was like, yeah, fine. And in January 2020, I moved to London. I got a job in London. In February 2020, I got I got this severe tummy pain, and I went to the emergency because since it was the emerging COVID period, I couldn't manage myself to get into a general practitioner, register myself to a general practitioner because all the shops were not shops, the clinics were closed. And since I was working in a hospital, I showed myself up in the emergency department. And I had, like, well, the NHS is really good, but then it's again a little slow. And because I wasn't showing up straight in the general practitioner's office, I had to really, really wait. And since they have this triaging process, and since I was in pain, I was set in the green zone and I had to wait a long time. And yeah, on my first appointment, they told me that it's nothing. You should go, and they gave me some pain medications. And I went home. I couldn't manage with this pain. I was on codeine. Codeine is a narcotic drug. And
Mm-hmm.
the next time when I showed up with this complaint was in March, February, and then March. Yes, and this was my second sick leave, and I again showed up in the emergency department with this pain. And uh, they did some scans, and they said that you could be possibly having gallbladder stones. I was like, yeah, this is a good answer. This could be a reason why I'm not able to eat anything, and this horrible, horrible, terrible pain. That's a very good reason. And
Right.
they gave
The
me with,
symptoms are similar, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
And I was satisfied with that answer, and I went back, and they gave me a lot more codeine, and I just gobbled them up. And since it was my second sick leave, I was under the uh, notice of my ward manager.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere in March, April, I went for my third emergency show up because I was in extreme pain, and this thing I couldn't handle anymore. So I went in and I stayed there. I remember I stayed there for around 7 hours with that wailing pain, and I
Oh
couldn't
Wow.
my God.
manage. Yes, I couldn't manage at all that pain, and I was just howling and shouting. I was begging them to come and see me, and like I'm not um putting down the NHS, but then it was a COVID situation, and they had really important uh things to do other than looking into my pain. So yes, and this third time when I was admitted, they just uh, referred me to a occupational therapist because in the policy of employees you can take two sick leaves, um, but on the third sick leave, if it is like very frequent, and as you see, I was just 3 months old in that uh, profession, um, they had to escalate my situation to the occupational therapist. And this occupational therapist was from another hospital, Royal Marsden. It's really good hospital. And this doctor, Dr. Vinita Cooney, she assessed my whole situation, and I told her that I have no other symptoms. It's just that I have this extreme, extreme pain in my tummy. I cannot eat anything. I cannot take a sip of water. And she asked me if I have any bowel problems, like with passing motion. I said, no, I don't have any specific problems. It's just that I cannot eat, and therefore I cannot go. So um, I told her, in addition to that, I have lost 20 kgs in 2 months.
My
And
God.
that was the major point which she noticed, that losing 20 kgs in 2 months is, like, as you know, it's
I know it's
extreme.
not usual at all. Yes, yes.
Yes, it's extreme. And that was the point which they noticed. And she asked me to get admitted. And it was, I think, April 16th, when that night after my emergency CT scan. Yes, it was emergency CT scan. The doctors came in very politely along with other nurses. And this was the most pure and humble situation in which they broke out the news to me. And uh, uh, I was like, no, this cannot be happening.
Mhm.
And the next day was my off day, and I was on call with my mom that time when just before they came to my room, and I said, "Mama, they are here, and I'll let you know." And once they broke the news to me, I was like, what would I tell my mom? And you must have heard, like, people who are dying, they say, like, you get the whole world, your whole life in front of your eyes
Yeah.
when such a
For sure.
situation happens, and that actually happened. My whole life of I was around 31 years that time, and my whole life came right in front of me. And even the life after this news, which I would be like undergoing, or I would be going through, even that came right in front of me. I could see actually in fraction of seconds I could see my funeral also.
My God.
Like, oh my
Wow.
god, it was extreme, and I was sweating in the the cold weather of London. I was sweating, and that was around 8 p.m. And just outside my room there was this open yard. Since I told you it's an emergency department, so there was this open yard, and there were people clapping outside for celebrating the healthcare workers. And I was like, what an ironic situation. getting,
God.
I'm getting this horrible, terrible news of my life, and people outside are clapping and bursting crackers. I don't know why they were bursting crackers, but yeah, this was the situation. They were praising the healthcare workers. I was like, yeah, good. I can still hear the claps. Yeah. So yeah, that was the very first moment. And they said, like, you'll have to stay in for the night, and tomorrow would be your biopsy to confirm the
Mhm.
situation. The whole night I was asked to like not eat anything. And the next day they took my biopsy, and by the evening they gave me my reports, and they confirmed it. And there was this very sweet nurse. She's a British person, and her name is Andrea, and she came in and she was so sweet. And the way she broke the news to me, I was like, this could be the sweetest thing. And I was like, you know what, Andrea, I think that could be poop. No, that's not cancer. The bug you see, that's not cancer. That could be poop. I didn't go yesterday.
Oh my God.
Oh my god. And she was so kind to me. She gave me a few booklets to read, and that's the very good part about NHS healthcare, that they give you a lot of information to read through, to just keep you informed.
I know,
Um,
Make
right?
you
Like,
help you understand what
right.
yes,
all
the
is
whole
going on.
situation and how you have to cope with it, what could have led you to this whole situation, and the emotional support or the other kinds of support, like
Hmm.
Macmillan cancer support and other therapies. And they also give you free passes, like to go to places, um, since they know that you won't be able to go anywhere on your own. So they give you free passes to go and enjoy and relax yourself. And yes, since I was an NHS employee, they would even give you some passes to visit different places, like somewhere
Yeah.
outside London and all. Yeah.
I guess automatically these things inbuild that confidence in you, right? Okay, it's gonna get better. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I can go through this.
Yeah.
Things like that. Mhm.
So yeah, that was the time when I came to know that I'm diagnosed with cancer, but not what kind of cancer, what stage of cancer. No, that was not there.
Oh. Oh.
This is the year of 2019, right? Where we are in the
2020.
timeline. 2020. So just before COVID, or this was during COVID that was happening?
COVID just hit that time.
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess Feb or something, right? Yeah.
I mean, some timing, the not gonna lie.
It was horrible.
I mean, it's something like this. I don't think me and Joel can even comprehend what you must have been going through at that particular time
I know,
to
even
even
to come to the
think about something
senses,
like that. Yeah,
right? That, okay, I have this, like, even to go with that thought.
yeah. So immediately after you got the booklets, they were told you about it. They gave you all the places you can visit and everything. What I'm pretty sure you didn't just start planning your holiday
No.
destinations to go to, but what were your next steps? What did you plan to do? How? how you thought you're going to go about it now?
So yes, from that day onwards, I never went back to work, and from that day onwards, I was on complete sick leave. And after 10 days or something, not 10 days, I think um, they took my biopsy, and the biopsy results had mm, like it takes around 10 days or 1 week or something to get the exact result of what kind of uh, sarcoma or cancer it is, or what stage it is, etc. And after around 10 days or 1 week, I don't remember now, um, my doctor gave me an appointment, and it was Mr. Myers. And okay, so the surgeons there are called not as doctors but as Mr. And the
Oh.
yes, and the doctors, like, if you call someone a doctor, he's a medical doctor, the one who prescribes medicines. And if he's
Hmm.
a surgeon, it's a Mr. So
That
mine
is
was, yes.
interesting.
That's
So
new.
yeah, so mine was Mr. Myers. And so since it was COVID situation, and my surgeon called me in, and he came up with all his team, and I was all alone. I asked one of my flatmate to come along with me, and I was holding it really well. I made sure that I won't cry, I won't um break myself. I'll have to listen carefully, because if I break myself, I won't understand a single word this man would say, and I have to understand. And once he's gone, I have all the time to cry. So yeah,
Oh.
it was really tough. And I remember him sitting in this room, and there were two very sweet nurses. These British people are so sweet, okay? They're really nothing butter. Yeah. So two of them sat beside me. Each one held my hand, and I was in such a panicking situation that I didn't want to hold anyone's hand, but then I didn't want to be rude. So
Hmm.
yeah. So he broke all the information, and the very important thing which I heard was, "How long had you been keeping this inside yourself?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "You're on stage 4, and it's extremely critical situation. You'll have to get it operated right now." I said, "Right now?"
Wow.
My God.
Yes. And he said, like, within 1 or 2 days, I'll have to book in. I'll have to squeeze in within other people, the operations, and you're on a priority, otherwise you won't survive. I mean, this is really huge for a person to listen.
It's
For sure.
hits coming, hits
Yeah,
after
and
hits.
I don't remember how I was holding myself. I just remember my skin, my ears, my face, everything was just flushing. It was turning red hot, and possibly fuming,
Wow.
like you see in Tom and Jerry.
Mhm.
So that was the situation. And yeah, so it was 16th, and on 21st he planned a surgery for me in Cromwell Hospital. It's a different hospital in central London, but then he rather preferred a, a better hospital. It's called Royal Marsden. It's one of the best hospitals in Europe. And since I used to work in Hillingdon, um, and since this was a COVID situation,
Hmm.
this hospital was termed as, what do you call it, a dirty hospital, where all the COVID patients would come in. And the other hospitals, there were certain hospitals which were clean hospitals, in which no COVID patients were allowed. So yeah,
Oh,
I was moved into Royal Marsden, luckily, and I was operated there. I stayed there for around a month or so. I got a lot of infections. I like My surgery was around 8 hours. I lost a lot of blood. That's why they had to stop. Too many things are involved in this whole conversation, which I can't go in too deep. Yeah, but they plan to take out a lot of my organs.
wow.
Yeah.
And had you told your mom by this point? And what was her reaction when you told her for the first time?
Yeah, so 16th was the time, 16th was the date when I came to know about it, and my mom was constantly calling me. And it was a Friday because Saturday was my day off. And mom was like, "Why aren't you going home?" And I said, "I'll go home. I'm about to receive my reports. I'll go home." And I think it was around 9 o'clock in London, and it was around 1 o'clock sometime in India. I said, Mama, you go back and sleep and all. And the next day she called. I didn't pick my call when I was in hospital. I didn't pick the whole
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. And Sunday I went back home. And I said, Mama, yeah, report aaya hai, and look into it. They'll take time. They haven't spoken about it to me clearly. And I was just dodging the whole reply situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do. And
What do you even say in this scenario?
yeah, and I told, I think, that I have this CT scan coming up, and also since my mom used to work in operation theater, and
Mm-hmm.
I have this whole abdominal pain and situation, she kind of was not expecting cancer, but yes, something bad. She was expecting something bad, and I took around a week to tell her. And
Mm-hmm.
on 28th I had to go to Royal Marsden, and I think around 26th or something only I told her. I took around 10 days. I think it was 26th or something when I actually broke it that I have cancer, and my mom was like, yeah, मुझे लग रहा था, because you took so much time to reply.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt that it could be it. I don't know how to react. I asked Arpit's papa Saji Bhaiya to talk to her and all.
To give context, that's another family that comes in
You
our
were the first
circle,
person whom I told. Yes.
I actually came to know about, I think, pretty lately,
No, I
if
think.
I'm correct.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you told me about this very late in my opinion, I think so. I'm not sure when you exactly told me, but I do remember I was not the first ones who came to know about it, to be very honest.
Okay. I'm sorry, but I think it was you.
Could be. I mean, I don't recall you telling me very initially, but I mean, hey, it could be wrong. It's been a while. I
Yeah.
don't exactly vividly remember how it was. Um, so all this operation, everything in this hospital, that must have cost a fortune, right? Even though you were an NHS employee. So where did you find the funds for that? How were you able to find the funds for that?
Yeah, so that was another kind of a blessing, because I was an NHS employee, and every month they used to deduct my NHS in like national insurance. So I was covered under the national insurance. So my
Okay.
surgery and my medication and my stay up until I moved back to India, it was all covered by the national insurance. Although my hospital stay and everything was covered, I wasn't getting paid. I think after 2 months of my sick leave.
Okay, so you stayed there in London for some time, and then the funds came via how
So
exactly?
when I was in London, all this treatment happened, and I was admitted for the second time in September when they found out that I have this tumor again at the same spot. And my previous tumor was around 10 centimeters, and this new tumor at the same spot emerged. That was also around 10 centimeters. As they say, it was the size of a grapefruit. So,
Whoa.
in the second situation, this place, I mean, this tumor was situated in such a place where you cannot get it operated. Like, it's just sitting adjacent to the mesenteric artery and the inferior vena cava, etc. So you cannot remove it surgically. You have to undergo treatment, chemotherapy or immunotherapy or any other kind of treatment. And I lost so much weight. I was around 40 or 38 kgs that time, that these
Wow.
treatments, yeah, so these treatments cannot happen on me with that weight. And I was constantly vomiting because of the morphine and fentanyl and such narcotic drugs, that um, these medications cannot be given to me. And because of the vomits, I cannot eat food. So I was on, what do you call it? Um,
Liquid diet?
Not liquid diet, the peripheral. Um,
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the peripheral feed, um, the one which goes through your veins.
Right.
You call it TPA. So that was the feed. So you cannot give it to a person on a long term basis, like for a week or 10 days or something. And if you give it on a long term basis, then the person won't get adequate nutrition for, like, it's just a survival thing.
Okay.
you cannot keep the person alive for a lot of time. So the doctor said, and if this person doesn't get chemotherapy or the required treatment, I don't have a chance to survive a lot of days. And
Mm-hmm.
looking into the weight and health situation, I cannot get the treatment. So they said that I have around 3 to 4 months, and this was September. So 3 to 4 months, I thought like, would I be able to see even Christmas
Wow.
2020? And that was a very big thing. And yeah, so they said like, either you call your parents here or your family, anyone, or you prefer, if you prefer, you can move back to India. And this was
Okay.
COVID situation, and I knew like something terrible is about to happen. And if anything of that sort happens and I bring my mom here, she won't be able
Mm-hmm.
to bear it in this
Mm-hmm.
new land with different language and different currency, and nowhere to go and no one to talk to. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a very very difficult situation. And I and my doctor spoke to my mom, and I felt like if anything really goes bad, she would be really comfortable within her her
No,
place.
makes sense. Like with
Yes,
people around
with
and
people
all of that, so
around,
it
and
makes
to
sense.
take care of her. Like
Correct.
for a person like me, if I would go at any time, and that's the end of the story. But the people who are left behind, it's them who have to
Hmm.
bear the whole situation. So I we have to take care of that. So I thought of getting back to India, and as I told you, I'm married, so I asked my in-laws to repatriate me back to India, and they haven't been in contact with me for a very long time. Like since my surgery and all, my husband stopped communicating. Like he would pick my calls, and he wouldn't be as empathetic. And yeah, so I asked the required funds for my repatriation, and they didn't respond accordingly. So the church in London, they
Mm-hmm.
raised funds. Some of my friends raised funds through GoFundMe, and that was the whole situation. That's how
Oh,
they
wow.
brought me back to India.
Some amazing humans indeed.
I know, I know. Okay, that was too much of information. Well, we definitely have more and more questions to ask. Really curious about various things. Well, definitely, I feel we need another episode to cover all of them.
I completely agree, Jolin. So hold on to your seats because there's a second part of this episode that you'll be listening to very soon. So until then, ciao.
Bye.